Welcome to another episode of Eberhart Outdoors. Today is October 7th and our season opened October 1st. So I went out October 1st in the morning and evening, and then October 2nd on a morning hunt. I saw two bucks on opening morning, two decent bucks, probably I'd guess there's an 8 point followed by a 10 point, 8 point, probably 105. The 10 point might have been 115, somewhere in there. But I let them walk. They walked right through an opening, and I didn't grab my camera till the 10 point was almost into the woods. But they walked right through a big opening at 12 yards. And then on my way out, and I'm in a swamp. I was in a swamp, and then on my way out through the open timber outside of the swamp, I found a dead 10 point that died from EHD. It's a second buck that I've found this fall. The first one was a little 8 point, probably a 90-inch 8 point in a pond, in the edge of a pond, and then this one was just out in the open timber. But it was not too far from water. It was just outside the swamp. So that was a nice hunt. It was cool in the mornings. It's been really warm here, and then I had my brother and sister-in-law come for a week. Well, 5 days. So they just left this morning, again October 7th. So I'll get to hunt this evening and start doing a little serious hunting. Probably mostly mornings because it's going to be mid-70s. It was mid-80s. It even got up to almost 90 last weekend. So I'm not a big, I don't like hunting when it's really warm in the evenings. I'd rather hunt in the mornings. Had better success in the mornings. On opening day in the evening, I don't think I saw deer. Yeah, I didn't see anything in the evening. It was warm. And then on the 2nd, October 2nd, which I'm going to have a video on that as well in the morning, I sparred in a pretty big 7 point. Obviously 7 points don't score very well, but it had a nice typical 4 point side on the right and a typical 6 point side on the left. Had browse with a G2 on the main beam on the left. And I sparred him in at, I don't know, 8 o'clock-ish, maybe, quarter to 8, sometime in there. And he came right in on a string, followed my entry route right to the tree, you know, sniffing the vegetation along it to see if there was any danger. And obviously because I use ScentLock, I don't worry about rubbing on vegetation. And I had made that entry route in the spring during postseason. I actually took a weed whip with a steel cutter on it, steel blade instead of the filaments. And it was through tall weeds, and I just made about a 3 foot wide swatch all the way to my tree. And when I did the sparring sequence, this buck came in right down my entry route, right down the route that I'd walked to the tree. And it's really interesting because when you spar bucks in, it's almost like they have an internal GPS. And this will be in the second video. It's not going to be in the video that you're going to watch right now, but it'll be posted and be out in a couple of days. When you spar in deer or rattle deer in, from a couple 100 yards, I think they can pinpoint the exact location within 5 to 10 yards, because he came in, he walked right down that route. I'm sure he smelled the ground disruption, you know, from my feet, so he was sniffing, and he came right to the base of my tree, like that was the spot where he heard it from, which that's where I was, obviously. And he looked around for probably, I don't know, 5 or 10, 15 seconds, which you'll see. And then he just turned around and we walked back out along that same route, maybe 5 yards, and then he turned and went down through the swamp, down the edge of the swamp. And he was a nice buck. He'll be really nice if nobody else shoots him. There's quite a few people that hunt in this section, and there's, on this 37-acre parcel, there's 1, 2, 3... There's 4 other hunters on this 37-acre parcel. So I had 2 nice morning hunts. They were both productive. That was the only buck I saw. So first morning I saw 2 bucks. First evening I saw nothing. Second morning I sparred in a 2-year-old 7 point. But other than that I didn't see anything. But those were pretty decent hunts. Man, I love hunting in the mornings. I absolutely love it. Dead calm, dead flat calm, and there's acorns everywhere. This place doesn't have any fruit trees around it, but a lot of oaks, a lot of beech nuts, and they're definitely definitely tearing up the acorns right now. So I'll get a chance to get out hunting now from now through the end of October and then into November, and we'll see what happens. But it's two really nice hunts, even though I didn't kill anything. Nice and peaceful. Take care, and I hope you guys have a good season.
October 1st, 2025, and it's 9:30. I'm sitting on the edge of this cattail marsh / marsh grass swamp that runs along a creek. I'm in the middle of that. I'm in a big batch of these young burrows. They were loaded with acorns, so the deer are coming through here. Shockingly, I haven't seen a doe, but I've seen 2 bucks. And that dead tree over there, that whitish tree, I can mount right down the edge of that, coming right into here, 8, not 10 point, not quite shooters, low hundreds, 110 inch, and did a speed tour of this location on a YouTube video this year in September, and they came right by that burrow right there. I walked on this side of it, and by the time I got the camera, they were going past that little tree right there. You can barely see a runway underneath it. They were about 12 yards. There's one following the other. And they continued to go right down through here, down the edge and back over it. There's a big batch of just brush and nasty autumn hounds and stuff back over in there along the edge of the swamp. And I imagine that's where they were going to bed. That was at 7:30. Deer like to go through the security cover along the edge of open timber bordering a swamp. And that's exactly what this is. There's a swamp behind me that I just videoed, and it's open timber out into there. This is kind of what I'm talking about by security cover. This stuff where they can feel comfortable, where they got a quick exit into the marsh grass. Coming out of the woods, I found another EHD dead deer. Looks like the buzzards have been eating at its butt, or possums. That's a nice buck. Yeah. 115 inch, 120. 10 point, perfect 10 point. That's depressing. That's 2 I found this year. Looks like a 3-year-old. And it's just terrible what EHD will do. And you can see right there where they've been starting to eat at its butt. It's almost hard to believe a bug called a midge, the size of a gnat, will bite these deer on the nose, someplace where they can get their stuff into the bloodstream. And I don't know, a lot of different time frames, but within 10 days, whether it's 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, whatever, within 10 days they die. Usually they die at water, but I'm just outside the edge of a swamp, so I'm not that far away from water, but usually they die in water or on the edge of a creek or a lake or a pond. But it's amazing. One little tiny bite from a gnat-sized bug can cause a big animal like that to die. Does something to their brain.